Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's go back to what we were speaking a little earlier about, and that is the continued fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein files. Congressional leaders have been able to view some of those unredacted files in the recently released tranche. We're joined now by Representative Suhas Subramanyam. He is a Democrat sitting on the US House Oversight Committee. You've been reviewing the documents, but also you and your colleagues had Ghislaine Maxwell in front of you this morning. Thanks for joining us on BBC News. You might tell us a little bit, first of all, about that deposition virtually of Ghislaine Maxwell and what you feel you learned from that interaction.
Yeah, she was very robotic. She was very unrepentant. She, showed very little emotion. I think this has been a pattern of her simply not showing any remorse or caring about what she did or the victims and the impact on their lives and their families. And certainly she repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment rights and to not answer any questions. I think that she did so illegally. I don't believe that she should be allowed to invoke the Fifth Amendment because she was already convicted, and her habeas petition does not absolve her of that. And what was most interesting was that her attorney basically said that she would start talking when President Trump would pardon her or give her clemency. And so I think she is trying to get a pardon from President Trump. I don't know how we're going to get information from her if she feels like that is a path. And so I would like for the Trump administration to unequivocally say that they will never pardon her.
Do you have any options open to you to, as you say, get whatever information you think she might have from her while that prospect of a pardon is looming?
Well, for starters, she is unreliable. She is a liar. She's perjured herself many times. So I would want to make sure that we find all the documents, and all the documents are released by this administration while we get information from her to corroborate the information she does give us. Second of all, she was sent from a maximum security prison to minimum security one, where she's treated like a VIP in Texas. And that was after the Trump administration's Deputy AG Todd Blanche talked to her for 5 hours. I have a lot of questions about why that move was made. And I would say that if she wants to stay in a minimum security prison, she better be talking to us and stating everything she knows. And otherwise, she should go back to the maximum security prison. She should go back there anyway, and she should serve her time in prison. And so this should not be an exercise in getting Ghislaine Maxwell off the hook. This should be an exercise in finding the documents, getting all the documents released, and getting to the bottom of the truth so this never happens again.
On the question of documents and further information, your colleagues Thomas Massey and Rokana, we heard from them a little earlier on in the programme there, viewed some of those files. They thought they were going to be all unredacted, but apparently they weren't. Some of them were redacted and appear to have arrived at the Department of Justice in that way. Is there anything that your committee can do to change that, or congressional powers to try and get the originals of those documents?
Yeah, I was actually in the room with them reviewing the unredacted files as well. I, too, was looking for unredacted versions of documents, and they were still redacted in several cases. There are many other cases where I have real questions about why we had to redact the names. We're talking about people who engaged in sex trafficking regularly, and including sex trafficking of underage girls. And so I don't understand why we needed to redact those names. I think part of the reason was because anyone who was a woman was redacted. I think, the folks going through these and doing redactions redacted any woman's name, but just because someone's a woman doesn't mean they're not a perpetrator in this case, or an enabler or a co-conspirator. And so that was certainly one of the concerns I had. I think the DOJ needs to unredact many of these files.
And do you have any pathways open to you to get those names of those? I think it's 6 individuals in particular that you feel their names should be released.
I think we're going to explore all of our options at this point because, certainly there are a lot of folks. Some folks we are deposing this month. I think we're going to try to continue to get more folks in to talk to them. But The reality is what we really need is more transparency, and that means unredacting people who are perpetrators and then releasing the rest of the files and getting the transparency the American people deserve.
And just briefly, Congressman, does it feel like the more you get, the more questions you have here?
In some ways, yes. In other ways, I think we're starting to see some of the same names, and the more we get documents, the more we learn about not just Epstein and Maxwell, but about all of the people around them, all of the powerful people who were engaged with them in different ways. And so, yes, it does raise more questions in some cases, but the reason it's raising more questions is because we're finding out more information that is very valuable and useful. And as we're seeing all around the world now, you're seeing powerful people, world leaders now paying a price, and the victims getting at least some form of justice that they deserve.
We're just out of time. Thank you so much for that contribution. Back in just a moment.
Thank you.